All right, we're live, Bob. So this will be our first
Okay.
episode. For those of you who are joining in, this is for Veterans and First Responders Ministry, or VFR Ministry. We offer Christian faith-based support and grounded Christianity for veterans, first responders, and their family members. And today, who we have on is me, who is the founder of VFR Ministry, John Lombardo, and our chief pastor and board member, Robert Hellmann. So, Bob, why don't you introduce yourself and kind of talk about.
Well, yeah, John, thank you for having me on. I'm privileged to be a part of this ministry in any way, shape, or form. John and I, by the way, John, I guess we didn't say much about it, but about a month ago, I think we hit 3 years in our friendship. So we have been close friends for 3 years now. And when I say close, I mean we have talked weekly most of that time. And a great privilege to know John, to meet John, to know him, to know his family. I feel like I know them well, and I know what his ministry is all about. This man has been to war himself. He knows what it's like to be a veteran. He is a veteran. And so he knows from firsthand experience what it's like to go into battle in a foreign country. And it's an honor to support him in any way, shape, or form. And for those of you that will watch this, we esteem you so highly. Those of you that are veterans, first responders, you all are heroes. And I know you don't like to be called that, but you are. And it is and my, especially me, it is my honor to salute each of you. Thank you for your service, whether in the armed forces or a first responder of any kind. And just to thank you for your service and all that you've done for people and for this great nation of ours.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. Bob and I met about 3 years ago, and we've had a great relationship ever since. I want to get back to kind of, VFR ministry in general, how this came about, what are we all about, what's this podcast about, who are we as individuals, and we're going to go through all that today. But really, I just want to do a quick introduction of just who we are, real quick. So, Bob is our chief pastor. He serves on the board, good friend of mine. And a chief pastor, he leads our Sunday services. He'll do the Bible studies. He's always on call for any biblical guidance that you need. Myself, I will do Christian coaching. So it's basically life coaching, Christian and Christianity. And we have a mobile app. So the mobile app can be downloaded on Google Apps or iPhone. Anywhere in the country or in the globe, you can download the app. It's called VFR Ministry. It's free to join. You're welcome to join community groups. We have Gold Star family members, first responder groups, and veteran groups. We try to keep it a positive atmosphere. And you don't have to be Christian, but obviously everybody in the community is Christian. We just try to uplift one another, but we welcome anybody into our organization. And we started this about 2.5 years ago. And it was a calling. It really, Bob, I think Bob knows this more than anybody, that I was somebody who served in the Army during the Iraq War. And I was somebody who, became depressed, had anxiety, PTSD, struggled with it. And I never turned to faith for help, but then God came to me. And I can talk about that in another podcast, but God basically came to me and, I got baptized, my whole life transformed. And that's what started my Christian journey. And at the very early on stages of it, I was connected with Pastor Bob. I was actually looking for a public speaker to book. And it just turned out that the one I chose turns out to be 50 plus years in the ministry. And he thought probably I was crazy at first, but we can tell
Sure.
that story another day or in this podcast. But we were connected, I say, through God, and he became really a mentor of mine, a spiritual guide, and just a lovely individual. And he's the one that came up with the name VFR. So Bob, I don't know if you remember that. When I was trying to figure out, I'm like, veterans, Mr. Bob's like, why don't you say VFR? I'm like, I didn't know that was a thing. So, we got to thank Bob for having that VFR in the Veterans and First Responders Ministry. But that's kind of who I am. I just want to give a brief thing. I am the founder of the organization. However, it takes a team to run this. We try to keep it family oriented, individual oriented, and making sure that we're always here for one another. Bob is on our board. I couldn't think of a better person to put on it. He is just one of the brightest Christians I know. He knows the Bible better than I'll put him up against any pastor, and I'll make that public. I'll put him up against any pastor. Again, he's been in the ministry for about 50 years, but I'll kind of let him introduce himself more, and then we'll just talk about, I guess we'll dive into the ministry a little bit, and we'll just see where the Spirit takes us. See what
Sure,
happens.
sure,
Yeah.
sure. Well, I found the Lord when I was 15 years old. That's back in 1967. And my whole life began to turn towards God and the things of God. I started studying the Bible right away, and I just began to learn more and more and more. And applying the Bible. John, it is about not just learning the Bible, but learning how it makes you have a better day and a better life. John here talks about VFR being a positive place for people, and it is. That's one of the strongest things that can be said for VFR is John's vision for it to be a positive, healing place, no matter what anybody's been through. And we know that a lot of people have been through a lot of tough stuff called life. And but I appreciate John's having a vision of being positive, reaching everybody, pulling them in, making everybody feel comfortable, like you're wanted, you're needed. We celebrate you. What can we do to serve you? What can we do to make you feel better, be better? And that's been John's vision from the beginning. So I've been a pastor for 54 years or longer, and I've been a church planter with a couple of different churches. One I was at over 34 years, and so I know what it's like to build from ground up when you don't have anybody and you're going it almost alone from the beginning of that ministry. So I've kind of been there, and I just love people. And I have to say that I can't take credit for that, because that love is something that God put in my heart, or it wouldn't be there. So that's a little bit of who I am, what I love about John, his vision for the future, and just appreciate all that he's doing. All you folks out there, we want to reach everybody and bring the healing word and a word of acceptance and positive healing to people. And that's what John intends to be.
Yeah, Bob, and with VFR Ministry, because we've really had to put thought into this. I don't think I put more thought into an organization like I have this one. It's probably because it's coming from my heart, but it was building out really who does God want? What does God want this to be, and where is He guiding us in this, and how does it's building out like the Noah's Ark. I say it's like it started off slow, and it just one thing I was really thinking about when I was creating the ministry is, do I want to be a denomination? I decided no, God, He wants me to be non-denominational, a direct relationship with God, but the Bible is the authoritative Word of God. And it wasn't, so as I'm building it out, it really was like, who am I going to help though? Because I realized God saved me. The Bible is a mental health tool. It was one of the best mental health tools, some of the best stories. You see the Spirit guiding you. He brings you people into your life. And I was like, how can I help out other people? And God really positioned this as, help out your kind, like your people that veterans, tag in the first responders also, and the family members. Because one thing I realized when I was creating this is, as a veteran, a lot of us go to the VA healthcare system for mental health support. They have spirituality there, but your family can't go to these programs, and they get pretty disconnected. They want you to be on site. There was a lot of obstacles to get to that mental health, and spirituality really wasn't at the forefront of it. It's secular learning. And I decided, how can I bring something different? How can I be extremely spiritual organization? And then how can I connect with the veteran from their home so there's no obstacles? And what type of what type of ministry do I want this to look like? And I decided, let's make this all love. God's love. God was nothing, throughout my early journey, God was nothing but loving, patient, caring, always, like, I didn't deserve the help I got, but yet he did it anyways. So I decided, let me extend that love, that compassion to everybody. But we do aim at veterans, because another thing about veterans too, especially me up north, I'm up in Massachusetts, Christianity isn't as broad and popular as down south. We're really disconnected. A lot of veterans, if you go to church, you might find one or two veterans here, another veteran over here, but there's no veteran group for Christianity. And that's something I wanted to create. It's so any denomination, doesn't matter which one you belong to, you can just come here and know you have other veterans or other first responders who are going to be compassionate, loving, and you can talk about God with them. You can learn about faith, because faith is one of the most important things in mental health. And I've done a lot of research on this, but it's a critical tool. You can go speak to a psychologist, but you should be looking into faith to be in partner with that if you want to. You don't have to, but I decided, let me just create something. So I made a mobile app, and you can download anywhere in the country. It's extremely easy to join groups. We can have peer support calls basically anytime. We're not restricted to a time zone. And if you're a Vietnam veteran and say you have health conditions and you can't walk well, we'll do peer support Zoom calls. And then this is why I'm also trying to have a podcast to reach even more people, talking about mental health, talking about anxiety, stress, just life and war trauma, and how God helps with that. That's the core of it. How does God help with this stuff? And then at some point when we grow enough is have on different types of veterans out here, first responders who've used faith to healing, and tell your testimony, tell your story. Let us interview you. Because that's the important part of everyone's journey in Christianity, is learning from one another. But this really was a calling, and it's really grounded in love and compassion. We don't judge. We're just here for you. And Bob has that same mentality as I do. I think this is why God brought me to you, is that you've helped me grow spiritually. And I always believe that someone who needs a spiritual mentor, I want this organization to have those. They're so important. And keeping the way that is looking at the Bible as a mental health tool. It's a story of you and how you can overcome your challenges and how you can expand your mind to understand the universe around us. How God operates outside of the Bible, because God grounds everything in the Bible, but he works through people. He works through music, numbers, anything. I mean, you have your own language. He knows your own language. So anyways, I can talk about that a lot. I want to kind of step back for a second and just really talk about Bob. So Bob, when you were younger, you told me a story about how you became a Christian. What happened? But by the way, Bob also is a descendant of Wyatt Earp. I don't know if everybody knows that. So,
Yeah, that is true.
so Wyatt Earp's spirit is running in this ministry.
John and I share that too. We both love the Wyatt Earp Wyatt Earp stories. Well, John, I'm not exactly sure exactly what story, but the story is that when I was 15 years old, um, I was typical 15-year-old boy. We didn't have anything to do really with the Lord. My family was not a church-going family. Now, don't get me wrong, they were good, moral people that taught me right from wrong. It's right to tell the truth. It's wrong to lie, etc., etc. But I did not know the Lord at all. And one day, it was, as a matter of fact, believe it or not, it was about this exact time, John, in July of 1967, that I was walking through my grandmother's old 100-year-old house. And I had just walked from the dining room to the living room. Not anything on my mind at all, except it was summer and probably thinking about what fun thing I could do next or whatever. But as I stepped from one room to the other, there's something happened inside of me. Something I had never encountered before. There was a hunger inside of me. Now, 1 minute it was not there, and the next it was there. I have no explanation for it except the grace of God, the Holy Spirit. He made that happen. Now, I was not praying. I was not reading a Bible. I was not into Sunday school. I was not into going to church. I was into none of those things. But that hunger suddenly, abruptly, surprisingly, just was felt in the pit of my stomach. And I remember thinking, what in the world is this? Like a gnawing hunger. But I knew, I guess, by the grace of God, I knew that hunger, I wasn't hungering for anything of this world. I knew that. I was hungering for God. Now, how does a teenage boy go from not having anything to do with God, about God, no thoughts about God, no desires for God, never prayed, etc., and all of a sudden I'm just walking through my grandmother's house, minding my own business, and 1 minute I'm myself, and the next minute I've got this hunger inside of me. And I remember that we went to it was a little, it wasn't little, it was a pretty big department store. Back then they had department stores that were not a part of malls. And it was a department store. And I remember in the department store, there was a little book rack. And I remember turning the carousel around and looking at the books. There was a paperback book on there by a pastor that was very popular at the time, and his name was Dr. Norman Vincent Peale. And so because I recognized the name from where, I don't know, I picked that book up and I fanned it open. And immediately my eyes fell on these words written in italics. And it said, "If God be for us, who can be against us?" Those words fed that hunger in my belly. And I looked down at the bottom of the page because I didn't know where those words came from. And I looked down at the bottom of the page to see a footnote and that those words came from the Bible. Well, I was stunned. And so I just turned it over again, just randomly. My eyes fell on other words in italics, and this said, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And again, the bottom of the page, I was told that was from the Bible. Well, I bought that book. It was 60 cents at the time. I went home. I started reading that book as a 15-year-old teenager, and I began to be introduced to God. And through that hunger, I have to say it this way. Let me say it this way. That hunger, after that hunger, my life was no longer the same. I just was not the same whatsoever. The hunger drove me to that book. The book drove me to the scriptures, and the scriptures satisfied my hunger, and I was never the same again. And so that was I was 15. I'm 74 now. And so for all those years, I have been walking with God. I have never, ever thought about giving up my faith, or renouncing my faith, or just going into secular life, and not so much a life of faith and everything. Never ever had that thought in all of those years. So that's like, what, 59 years. And I just was radically, completely, totally changed inside out. Now, I didn't feel that I was reading about a bunch of rules that men were trying to get me to follow. I didn't feel that way. I was introduced to something that happened to me internally. And the internal is what drove me, and it's what still drives me every day of my life. And that's quite a literal statement. Every day of my life, I'm driven from my belly out. And it's been that way. Now, let me say this. There is no psychology, and by the way, I like psychology. But there's no psychology that can have that kind of a life-changing inside-outside impact upon a young boy and take him into his 74th year of life. It just doesn't happen. So whatever happened to me, it was supernatural. It was from God. It was something I had not asked for, prayed about, wanted, sought after. And it was not there, then it was there, and when it was there to stay for the rest of my life. And that is how I met the Lord at age 15. Now keep in mind, I didn't receive him at the altar of a church. Not that there's anything wrong with that. For me, it didn't happen that way. So there are many ways, as John has said, that God can get hold of us. And he'll get hold of us in whatever way he wants to. And that's how he got hold of me. But it was real. It was lasting. I love him. I want to serve him more than ever in my life. And that's a little bit about how I came to know the Lord Jesus.
Yeah, and Bob, when you're saying hunger, what do you mean by that? Like a hunger for what?
There was just I was hungry for something eternal. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah.
I was craving, desirous of. I was desiring something deeper in life than I had ever known. I was just craving. I was craving Jesus, but didn't know it.
Yeah, that's a big thing, and probably the people listening is, maybe they've been touched by God just recently, or maybe they're trying to get and figure this out. Maybe they haven't gotten touched by God yet, or maybe they're just getting transitioning to it. When you got touched by God, like when you're in your grandmother's kitchen, I think you
Yeah.
said, right?
Yes.
Something came over you, and next thing you know, you're thirsting for the Word of God. You feel like you're not from Earth, right? When you understand God, you understand spirituality. How did you take that as a teenager when you're going through this? Maybe the first month or 2 months, what was happening in your head? Do you recall it all, or?
Well, when I found that book, which was within the week of me feeling that hunger, I was introduced to the reality that Scripture fed whatever was hungering inside of me. Scripture fed that.
Mm,
And now I had no emotional type of experience. I didn't see visions. I didn't hear voices. I didn't, it was very emotionless because the hunger that I had was not, it was not an emotion, yet it was something I was aware of.
okay.
And yeah, so feel free to ask me more things so I can hopefully make it clearer.
Yeah, no, because I asked that because when I never believed in God,
Yeah.
never. I mean, when I was in when I was in the army, I probably got further away from Him. I thought there was a higher power. I think a lot of people think like that. Like I thought there was a higher power. There's something out here. I don't know what it is, but the Bible and Jesus and the stories that seemed so fictional. There's no way, and someone who loves science. I love the idea of the Big Bang Theory and multi universes. And Matrix was my favorite movie growing up. There's no way I'm ever going to be a Christian. No way. I think if you asked me 4 years ago, I would think you're crazy. Absolutely crazy. But God came to me. And when He did, it was probably a month or two after, where I was in such disbelief. Like, there's no way He's real. Like I like it, but I couldn't deny it. My mind was trying to comprehend it. I couldn't deny it because of the things that were happening. So the adjustment for me was I thought I was crazy, right? Like I actually saw a psychologist and talking to my wife about where this can go. And then as we went over the months, we reflected, and I'm like, the positive trends that were happening in my life were unreal. It's to this day talking to you right now. I still feel like it's surreal. And I'm so like I just love that moment that I had in that transition. That first month or two was crazy. So that's why I'm asking you, like, what was like? You were young though, but you felt something powerful hit you, and then you got a book, and then you read the book, and you just felt like God was speaking to you through words, but you had some hunger. Like, try to explain that hunger as much as possible. Like, were you driven to like preach God? Were you driven to just read everything about Him? Were you driven to constantly be finding ways of Him communicating with you? What made you think He was even real because of that encounter?
All good questions. I did not, I didn't think anything about preaching or that never entered my mind whatsoever. Um, I just, when I say I hungered, I do want to, I want to make this clear because I think there's so many people like me. And that is, I wasn't struck by something as I walked through my grandmother's house. I did not have a uh, just some powerful experience as one may try to understand powerful experiences, but I had a very deep and real experience. And what made me, I just never, well, for one thing, I was never a scientific kind. But I just, I never doubted that God was real, but I didn't know him and I didn't want to until that situation in my grandmother's house. I was just lost. I mean, there's a word for it that we use, and that is in the Bible, and that is I was lost. I was a 15-year-old young man, and I was lost. I didn't know God. I didn't know anything about God. I didn't know the Bible, didn't know anything about the Bible, did not know church, didn't like church the few times we had been, didn't like to pray, didn't like to do anything like that. I was lost.
Mm-hmm.
And that hunger, it had to be put in me by the Holy Spirit. And it was a natural thing for me to respond to it. I just responded to that very naturally. So maybe, I don't know, maybe this is an illustration. So if you're married, and you're away from your husband or your wife for any length of time, you are going to experience some degree of missing them. And you're going to begin to want to see them, be close to them, hear their voice again. That's going to be natural to you. And the way that I came to seek after God, so I would say that that hunger caused me to seek after God. And the seeking was implemented there when I picked up that book and opened it up and my eyes were on Scripture. That hunger just made me seek spiritual reality, God reality. And that's what I did. Boy, I'm botching this. I wish I could say it so much better. I don't know what to say, but that's
You're
exactly
doing
the way
good.
it was.
Yeah, no, Bob. There's no botching it. We're just talking.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's good to talk it through. The only reason I ask is because some people have like this epiphany of just something comes over you and it's so powerful and you don't know what's going on and it can be scary. You can feel crazy. But then some people you meet in Christianity, they just started going to church. They don't know why either. They're like, oh yeah, just randomly I felt like just going to church, and when I went there, I felt great. And so there's all types of stories, and the reason why I was digging into that is because, everyone's story is different,
Yes.
and God calls on people differently. I mean, doesn't call on people, but He brings you close to Him, and He's sly about it. If we can talk about God real quick, He has to be one of the slyest people I've ever met, and it's in a good way, because there's so many times early on in my spiritual journey, I was like, I got to be crazy, But then such positive things happening, and then He brings people into your life, and then you're isolated. The isolation to me, it's like He pauses everything around you, and you somehow find time, somehow in your busy schedule, doesn't matter. God will find you that time somehow, in His sly little way. And He's working in you, and your body naturally will just start slowing down, and you'll be connecting with Him. And then, like, a month will pass, and you won't even see how much growth you have. A lot of people don't see in that first month how much growth you have, because God He's like that. He's like a sly fox. He's just like, I'm working in you. You have no idea. And you're sleeping, I'm working in you. And I'm bringing people to you. He's training you constantly. He's bringing you information, and you wouldn't even know He's bringing you information sometimes.
That's right.
Sometimes, if you really pay attention, you'll be like, okay, this something weird's going on. And if you catch it, that's always something people keep your eyes open for it. But He is one thing I love, and I want to talk about God real quick. I know we're talking about you and your transition and how this kind of happens. But one of the biggest things, Bob, I'll ask you about this is that Christianity, it's kind of making a way up right now. A lot of people for a long time, I know when I was growing up, everyone went to school. They did Bible studies. I wasn't that kid. Almost everybody I went with to school got their communion. Everyone's Catholic up north. A lot of them went to that. But when we got older into our 20s and now into our 30s, it's gone down. A lot of people are not utilizing faith, but it's starting to make a comeback. And it's good to see in a way. Obviously you get concerned about things, but I forget what I was getting at. But what I try to tell people is, God, He is the most loving person ever. You can't comprehend it. We cannot comprehend God's love. I wish I could. Sometimes I sit around and I freak myself out thinking about God. I'm like, how is He here before time? He is not a part of time. Who created God? Your mind will fry and you'll give yourself anxiety thinking about it. And then why does He love me so much? Like, why do we have this planet? Why are we here? But, you just realize, like, we're so lucky that there's a God this loving, who's this personal, this intelligent, and He just wants the best for you. That's it. And He's willing to do anything at all times to make sure He does the best for you, period. He's never going to give up on you. And it's like consistent. You can do something wrong, and then 1 second later, God's like, it's okay, let's work towards a goal. It is one of in this, you can't see Him either. You cannot see God. And I think that is the hardest part in my journey when I was going through it. I can't see Him, but I know me. I know my life. I know what goes on around me. And I know there's something happening. I know it. And I can't explain it to people. I can't convince them it's going to happen. But there's something happening. Like, there's something happening inside of me. It's making me a better person. It's more loving. I know there's something trying to communicate with me, rather through scripture, through numbers. Maybe something catches my attention. A short clip will come on my phone. God's messages, podcasts will pop up. There's all types of ways God communicates. And it's two ways of going about this. You can think this is all random, or you can think maybe this is real. Maybe there is something trying to, a God trying to do that. And I always tell people, if you take that path of there is God and He is going to be here for you, you will never be disappointed because He's real. So that's the thing. But I know I kind of went on a rant about, that first transition in God, because to me that was the most, like, just one of the most interesting times of my life. And to this day, I try to remember, thank God every morning. Thank God every morning. I'm like, He saved your life. Thank you, God. Thank you for giving me a good life. Thank you for making me a good father. Thank you for making me a better husband. Thank you for giving me everything, even though I might not have everything I want, but thank you for it anyways. Because you know what? He's here for me. He's here for me, and he's gonna take care of me, and he's never gonna leave me. He's never gonna disappoint me.
That's
He's
right.
gonna put me through challenges. All the time, God's about challenges, and it's making you a better person. And like you said, Bob, it's from within. We're so focused on external, changing everything externally, but it's from within. God
Yes.
wants to change you from within, because what you change from within, it actually can manipulate the environment around you. God will work in the environment around you, but how nice you are to people, when you're loving, when you say you love you to your wife, and you do nice things, you be a thoughtful person, that people see that, and that interacts with the environment around you. What comes out of your mouth? Positive information, positive affirmation comments, all of that. It helps with your mind and how you think. It works into your bones, into your nerves, and then next thing you know, you're a better person. And I'm going all day about this. But yeah, I think, just talking about God, how He kind of worked in my life. How does He work in your life, especially as you were growing up? What were some of the big ways that God communicates with you? Outside, probably the Bible for you, but anything outside the Bible also.
John, there's been many things. Now, a lot of them are going to sound silly, But God has uh, spoken to me, communicated to me through movies, songs, um, something that someone said that wasn't even addressing me that I happened to hear. Um, a a book on history. I love history, so a book on history that has nothing to do with theology or anything like that. Uh, I mean, just anything. Now, I could tell you. Well, let me tell you this one. I was at the gas station one day pumping gas. On the other pump next to me was a gentleman pumping gasoline into his bright red pickup truck. I mean, he had the cover for the bed of the truck. It was same color as the body of the truck, and then the rims were the same color as the body of the truck. I mean, it was all. Uh, he put a lot of money into that. And I said to him, I complimented him on the truck, and I said to him, "What are you going to do with that?" So my question wasn't, well, I just wondered. You've got I live here in horse country, so obviously you don't plan to load it up with horse manure. Uh, so I said, "What are you going to do with that?" And he said this, and when he said it, God spoke to me. He said, "I'm going to enjoy it." And that was God saying to me, "You're supposed to be enjoying life and things. You don't have to have a big purpose for everything. There's some things you're supposed to have fun with. Some things you're just supposed to really enjoy. Life, you're supposed to have some joys in life." That spoke to me. I haven't forgotten it. So
That's
it'd be something that like that. There's a movie. Uh, I think it's called Sweet Home Alabama. Any rate, it's a story of this girl who came from deep down South Alabama, and she also had a career in New York City, and she fit both places. She loved both places. And she was visiting home down in South Alabama, and somebody said to her, uh, "What are you going to do? Are you going to stay here, or are you going to go back to New York?" And somebody said to her in the movie, "You can't have uh, roots and wings at the same time."
mm,
That was one that really spoke to me. You can't plant roots and also have wings about yourself like you want to fly and move and travel, things like that. That was a good lesson for me. And God spoke both of those things to me, two different ways, and just many other such things, John.
what do you what do you mean by like you can't have wings and fly?
You can't have roots and wings.
Roots and fly. What? Why? What?
Well, if you're going to plant your roots
Mm,
in a area like, okay, you can plant your roots and grow and blossom there, but you can't plant your roots and then not wanting to be where you have your roots, you wanting to fly around and
mm,
on the planes and be different places. You can have one or the other, and one is as good as the other. You can travel, 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 so you've got wings, or you can be a homebody and say, I like going other places, but I love being at home. So people have either basically they love their roots or they love their wings. And there's a place for both, and neither one's not better than the other, but that was a statement that spoke to me because I realized then I'm a root person. I love my roots. I love my family's roots. I love I love my roots. And it's always been that I've always loved home. And while I have a desire to be a blessing to the world, I'm not one that just quickly jumps on a plane and flies off somewhere. I'm a root person until that night at the movies. I didn't know that.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, it kind of hits you, right? Like we're always like, where's God? Why isn't he communicating with
Yeah,
me? Did I miss something?
yeah,
And then in the most unexpected way,
yeah,
it hit you. And
yeah.
you're like, I can't believe he just spoke to me through this line in the movie at this time, random. Like, and I wasn't even looking for that.
Oh no, I just
Was
watching the movie. I think uh, my wife and I were watching it or whatever. I wasn't expecting anything from God during the movie. It was a great movie, but I sure didn't expect to hear from God
Yeah.
during it. All right, so I'm going to tell one more. If everybody that watches this promises not to think me a mental case. We'll talk about me being a mental case some other time. And all right, I am in the bathroom and I am brushing my teeth. And as soon as I brush my teeth, I look down at the bristles on my toothbrush. Well, it's a electric toothbrush, but the bristles are all turned
Mm.
different ways. And God communicated to me this. You see how all those bristles are just going all over the place? Yes. You know why that is? No. You try too hard.
Oh, yeah.
You're pushing on something that has has a battery motor in it, and yet you feel like you still have to push harder. All right, I made everybody take an oath of sanity that they won't judge me. Yeah,
We gotta make a podcast on that one. Is
yeah,
pushing too hard. That's a good one because we can go on that black hole today, but but put a little note to at
yeah.
another
I can do
episode.
that.
Let's talk about your toothbrush
Yeah,
and that story, and then the importance of really not pushing yourself a lot.
I was going to do a sermon series called Lessons From. One was going to be lessons at the gas station. One was going to
Oh
be
yeah.
lessons at the movies. One was going to be lessons from my toothbrush. And that was going to be a whole sermon series.
Two-part episode, lessons from your toothbrush.
And John, we've got to end it with lessons from Wyatt Earp.
Yeah, lessons. Wyatt Earp and his Wild West toothbrush.
There you go.
Yeah, there's definitely like especially for the people who are watching, they're probably thinking if you are just becoming a Christian or you don't know Christianity, you would think these stories are crazy. Like, what are they talking about?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
when you have Christian listeners, they know exactly what you're talking
yeah,
about, and they're all like, "Oh yeah, no, God, this is how
yeah,
He is."
right.
He's the ultimate. Like, I love when God does that. It's one of my favorite things when I like even right now. I feel like I wasn't hearing from God for a while, and I'm getting frustrated because I love hearing from Him all of the time. Like any good
Yeah,
Christian's been saved by Him or just wants to hear His word. I go, God, where are you? I'm praying to you. Why are you speaking to me?
right.
And then something happened, and I go, oh my goodness, I've done so much development, internal development, on certain aspects of my life. And he was teaching me things that I didn't realize. It wasn't just one thing, it was like four or five
For
things that
sure.
were going
Yeah,
on. I didn't realize they were going on. And again, these are another topics for on the podcast, but there was stuff happening, and then it hit like that 1 month mark, and I was like, God just highlighted it for me in my head. It wasn't anything big that happened. It was, oh, by the way, you were actually, you were being developed for this, and that, X, Y, and Z. And now you've really realized that, and you've actually become a better person, a better leader,
Yes.
and you've grown a lot. And I was testing you too, testing your heart, how you going to behave in these situations. And I didn't realize I needed that either. I didn't know I need that growth, but it was 100% I needed that growth. And he provided that opportunity to test out that growth in. And when I succeeded, it was like instantly after, oh, that's why I haven't heard from him. That's why I had this thing come up. Because it was 3 weeks of me having to sit there in my mind and maybe just go through the motions of, of whatever I was going through for that opportunity to finally arrive. And I went through with it. And then after I was like, oh my goodness, it was a huge learning lesson. And God showed me, like, be grounded in me all the time. So anyways, I mean, but yeah, it is nice how he works in so many ways. And that's my favorite thing to do in the ministry too, Bob. Like, I love talking about God.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but like, I know you've done church, you planted churches, and you're a pastor, you've done it for 50 years. I'm not like that. I'm 4 years into Christianity. I've been doing my own thing. Like, I just love, like, I don't know the whole I don't memorize the whole Bible like you. I've taken some graduate studies in theology. I have, Christian certifications in mental health. And I just talk about God, like, and how he literally works in your life. And it's my favorite thing. Like I know you could pull up a verse from any part of the Bible. I can't do that, right? But I can sit here and talk about God, like, in how he works and how he operates within your mind, the environment around you, how he changes, seasons you go through. It's like if you were I always think about it because not everybody could read. People are illiterate, basically in all human history, and people are today. And I always think about, like, during those times when people are illiterate and they cannot read the Bible and they don't have access to, a church or a pastor. But I bet you if you walk up to those people and you ask about God, they could tell you everything about him, maybe without even having to know a verse in the Bible. They could tell you everything. And I wish I could have that opportunity to go back in time, or just somewhere on the planet where somebody knows of Christianity, they get the gist of it, but just sit down and go, is God more? And then them just go on and on and on and on about God and see if it relates to kind of what I'm going through, what so many Christians go through. But that's my favorite part about talking about God is just about him. It's just about how he works in my life and how good he is, how loving he is, and having conversations and having fun with it too. Like you said, we got to have fun. And
Yeah.
I think sometimes in Christianity, people beat themselves down and they judge each other through denominations. But we're non-denominational. Like, I don't care about that. It's like, obviously we want to take life and we want to take, our future seriously. But God also wants you to laugh. Like, he actually wants you to enjoy your life. Don't beat yourself down about, if you did this right today or I didn't do something right. I should have said this better. You know what? We all make mistakes. God still loves you. Have a laugh with yourself and be okay with your mistakes. But yeah, that was just, it was just, it's weird how even this ministry started. To me, it was, I never thought, like I said, I never thought I was going to be a Christian. I never thought I was going to be let alone like a coach, like a Christian coach, and have a ministry, and how this has developed. Bob, how we met too, we should save that for a podcast, how we met. Like, that could be a whole episode. But Bob and I met in the strangest way. You must have thought I was crazy. And yet you still talk to me for some reason. And you've helped me a lot in my public speaking. You've been a great mentor. But how this whole thing developed to us having a podcast right now, I mean, isn't it's just so random. And we don't live in the same state for everybody. Like, Bob and I, we don't even live in the same state. You live, Kentucky.
We've never met.
I know we never met in person. I forgot about that. We haven't met in person. We just all video. Well, you're a roots guy. You don't leave.
Yeah,
So
I'm a
you're not
roots
leaving
guy.
unless I go there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then yeah, so Bob does Sunday services every Sunday. You still do it. You're a pastor. You're a chief pastor, and you. I think you're gonna do it till you croak and have a stroke, and you just fall into a casket. You're gonna be preaching. And you're gonna
The
leave Earth
best way
on.
to go. The best way to go.
You're not gonna be. No one's gonna be able to close your mouth and take a microphone away from you. Only God's gonna be able to do that. He's like,
There
"What's
you
your?"
go. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, you've been preaching for a long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
I
You
preached
probably
my
have a lot of
first sermon
stories.
when I was 18.
Oh yeah, tell me about it.
Well, it was at the Presbyterian Church. I was 18. They had a youth Sunday, and I was invited to, along with two others, to speak that Sunday. So I had been reading the Bible, and there was a verse, I think, in Timothy that kind of struck me, and I decided to go with that. And when my part came, I spoke for just a few minutes. Now, John, in those days, I could preach on Genesis to Revelation in 4 minutes and have you out in six. So have you? I could do. In those days, I could have you out of church. You come, and 6 minutes later, in your car.
I would love to see you at 18 preaching for like the first time.
Yeah, I was new. I mean, I had been, as I said, in Sunday school or church in my life, and so I didn't have a reservoir of things that I'd picked up in my youth or anything. So what I did preach on, I meant it,
Mm.
and people seemed to get something from it, which was always the important thing. Uh, and then from there, it went on. But that was my first time, and um, yeah, my first years were just preach. I, I could open in prayer, lead the song service, preach a full message, give an altar call, and have you in your car all in 6 minutes. Now that's pretty good.
Church in a minute. It's like we got things to do. Let's hurry up, Pastor. 6 minutes, all I need.
6 minutes. I just knew so little that
Yeah.
I just, you know,
But you know what? You know what's good is that you got up there. Even at 18, I don't think I would ever be doing that at 18.
yeah,
I'm not thinking about standing in front of people and
yeah.
preaching anything or even giving a presentation. Giving a high school presentation was enough for me at 18, let alone standing in front of an audience and talking about the Bible unscripted. I would probably you probably last more than most 18-year-olds.
Well, I don't know, but it was I considered it a privilege. In fact, I considered anything that I was ever asked to do for the Lord a privilege. And I consider that to have been a privilege. And I still do every time I speak or being on here with you today. It's a privilege.
Bob, and,
Um,
and one thing I want to talk about you in your younger years, because you were a firecracker. What I saw this article about you and I sent it to you, and you said, "How the
yeah,
heck did I find that?" It's called for the Little Pastors, or what is it?
yeah, I remember that.
So hold on, I want to pull this up. I want to see if I can pull it up.
Okay.
Where where did I find that thing? So I don't get too bogged down on it, but base here it is. Here it is. I want to see if I can share my screen. I'm gonna share the screen here, and then we're gonna do Windows.
Would you like for me to run and get my toothbrush?
No. Hold on, we'll do a window. We'll do entire screen. We'll just share it this way if I can do it. We'll do share, and then where did it go? I just had it up. This is it. Is this the letter? Can you
I
see it?
don't I don't see anything.
Oh, you can't see anything. Okay, maybe nobody can see anything on here. Um, anyways, I wonder if that didn't work. Let me try it one more. Actually, I'm not even gonna try it. Let me just okay. I'm not even gonna try it. So basically, is a letter from Pastor Bob, and you wrote to a national, like, like very well known pastor, right?
Yes.
Is it Stephen Strang? Is his name?
He was the founder and the publisher of Charisma magazine.
And Jamie Buckingham.
Jamie Buckingham was a really fine writer and pastor and world traveler.
Okay, then who was the letter you wrote to him, and he responded back in an article?
Oral Roberts.
Oral Roberts. Where is his name on here? Okay, because his Bob Hellman is the pastor of a small church in Huntsville, Alabama. His letter to me was handwritten on lined yellow paper. Is this the right one I'm reading?
Yes, that's it. That's
Okay.
Jamie Buckingham talking.
Yeah, so basically, Bob riled up somebody, some national bigwig pastor, and here he is, the little pastor. This guy out of nowhere, Bob Hellman, all worked up, and he writes a letter. So this guy's responding to his letter through an article. He said, "Let me explain what I mean by little pastor. Oh wait, I'm writing not only for myself but for all the little pastors around the country. Let me explain what I mean by little pastors. We are pastors of small churches. We are not cooks, flakes, or thieves. We love our churches and are honest, hardworking, moral, God-calling men. We go to the conferences to learn, and we hear those who are shepherds to thousands. But we leave feeling inferior, insignificant, and unsuccessful. We pastor churches of 25 to 500 members. Nobody really tells us what to do when, first bullet point, we have only 6 people showing up at a church on a Sunday morning. We pray, confess the word, preach truth, love people, only to lose ground and have our flocks diminish in size. People we love divorce us over fluff, and new people don't run into our churches to take their places. We wonder from Sunday to Sunday whether there will be enough or any money to sustain us and meet church obligations. We reach out to our communities with little response. We invite well-known ministers to our cities and churches only to be told they are too busy. In the meantime, we see them on TV preaching in the big churches. The little flocks are in need of gifted men and women. We would love to have them. They could be used of God to change our towns and churches, but we can't get them to come. We cannot promise a big crowd or a big offering. The little pastors are hurting. It would help us to know if any of those who are esteemed successful have bled along these lines. Are there any successful pastors who have been faithful to God and lost people, or does everything they touch just turn to gold? Who can speak to our struggles? Question mark. These are the honest questions and honest evaluations. I sat recently listening to Oral Roberts talk about his early days when he was hitchhiking from his little apartment to his weekend pastorate. His wife would fix him a sack lunch to eat, and he stood alongside the highway. He voiced the same yearnings Bob Hellman has expressed. If I could have just talked to someone successful, Pastor, it would have made all the difference in the world. Ministries today does not equate size or fame with success. The successful pastor is the one doing God's will. Our way of helping the little pastor is to let him hear in print from those who have been down the road and have now come back to help others. End. Bob, what made you want to write that?
I was severely discouraged.
Hmm.
I was very, very discouraged after years in the ministry and experiencing all the things that I wrote there, and having experienced them many times. It's like working hard, doing your best, but your best is never enough. And there comes a time or multiple times when you don't know emotionally, mentally, if you can go on.
Hmm.
And so that's what made me write it.
Yeah, it was. It seemed powerful enough where it made it on the newspaper. And I was, when I was looking this up, I was like, well, Bob's upset about something, right? And you could tell that. But when I was actually reading it out loud, I've never read it out loud like that. You could tell that you were trying to scream out for all the little pastors
Yeah,
about how can we develop people? How can we get people to our church?
yeah,
We're the ones who are suffering. Like I can only imagine what so many pastors right now in America, even to this day,
yes,
great ones like yourself, great, some of the best pastors in the country are the ones who understand the struggles all of the time and who have to be there for people as them themselves are struggling. Those are the strongest pastors,
yeah,
not the ones in the big churches and
right,
the mega churches. They're making all this money and millions of dollars, and you see the corrupt ones. You know who
yeah,
they are. There can be some really big pastors, Bob. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong. Really big pastors who do the right thing and they
yeah,
try to, but
yes,
they must be frequent according to your letter.
yeah. Well, it's uh, it's like the Hollywood syndrome. You like if you're an actor, you don't have many roles in things, but then there are stars, and you think if I could just get some time with one of the stars, an acting lesson or whatever with one of the stars, it could change my life's trajectory. Um, and that's the way it is. Sometimes there are there are pastors of great ministries in size I'm speaking about. They could help a lot of people, a lot of ministers that are unknowns. Nobody wants to be famous. That's not what this is about. But they could help a lot of ministers across the country that nobody would know who they were if those pastors who have that size of a platform could get off of it long enough to come down into the trenches and fight trench warfare with those that are struggling and haven't found their footing yet.
Why is that happening? Why are there such big, like, I mean, I think I know a few famous pastors right now, like the really big ones, like Joel, what's his name? Joel,
Osteen?
yeah,
Hmm.
I try not to judge people. And there's another one that has like 4 jet planes and he flies around and he's prosperity type church where give me all your money and I'll make good things happen. Um, but why aren't these pastors? Why aren't they giving back more? I mean, you were experiencing it in your younger years. What was happening in that time? Like, why weren't they? Were you trying to reach out to them all the time? Like, how what was going on?
Well, uh, I was trying to reach out to some of them, and if I could have brought one or two of them to town to conduct meetings at our church, um, here's the thing about being an unknown name.
Hmm.
You have to have somebody put recognition on you. And some of those that are recognized nationally, their presence at your church uh, could provide much needed recognition in terms of the community recognizing you and thinking, you know, that you somebody was at your church that was a good person and a powerful minister of the gospel, and yet they came to your little church, and people in the community see that, and it changes people's thinking about your church and your ministry. It makes them think, well, they may not be big in numbers, but they must have something good going on there because so and so was there. So that's to be have somebody put some type of recognition on you. And it's not that you need it personally.
Hmm.
All right, that's not it. If you're a real pastor, you're not thinking about personal. You're thinking about your church, about your ministry. So, like John, like here with VFR, if we had somebody that was nationally known come on here and you interview them or whatever, that alone is going to add recognition to what is already here. Um,
Yeah, that makes it like what you're describing is just it could be something really simple, just them
yeah,
coming down here and just being present.
that's right. Just being
Just being
present.
present, like you said, like people are very familiar with podcasts, and
Yeah,
you could be a no name somebody, and then somebody well known comes on your podcast, and you blow up overnight, or you got a lot more traffic. But speaking about ministries itself, a planted church, you're just saying it would be great to have them come down and just
yeah,
be here, and
just be
just be
there.
here. 'Cause that will draw attention. That brings people to church,
Yes,
and speak maybe for 5 minutes.
that's
Just
exactly
saying.
that. Yeah, exactly right, John.
And so you weren't seeing that at all back then, and probably not even seeing it today.
No, and that's true. I wasn't seeing it back then and not seeing it today.
Hmm.
And again, I do want to say that no real pastor is interested in recognition on a personal basis. If they are, then whether they're a real pastor or not, I don't know. But you want it for the ministry, like you, John. You want it for your ministry, and it would mean a lot to VFR if we had that. Uh, I mean, overnight, the numbers of people that you could help um, would be gigantic. And
Yeah,
that's what you exist for, it's to help people.
yeah. This ministry, we have a belief that we're taking this to the top on
Yeah,
our own. We're taking this to the top. All the big pastors out there. We're not. I'm not a pastor either, right? We're building something different, and we're gonna take this thing to the top with or without the help. We'll take God, and we got it.
right.
And that's just the way it is. So we're not talking about this, but we should be talking about because I do partner with a lot of churches because they're doing great work for veterans all the time, especially in my community. And I love to visit them as much as I can. I'll bounce around to the different churches. It is frustrating to see how they're hurting, but how much positive they're bringing to the community all the time.
Hmm.
And I can't speak about my role outside of the nonprofit, but there's something like I'm always trying to somehow connect them and be a good present figure. But if you're a big pastor and you're like, I pray that they are going to these small pastors, not just having a conference where you're making all this money off of them and they already can't afford it and they're purchasing a ticket to come see you. I'm talking about get off your butt and go find time out of your busy schedule and get down to those churches.
Yeah, right.
Get down to them. Like show up at one. Like big surprise. If I was ever, this is why I don't get Bob. Like if you're like a national figure, everybody knows you. I would love to just pop into a church and them not even realize it,
Yeah.
and just like I'm here, take pictures with them and leave. And I think it's so much fun. I don't understand, like you said, like what these celebrities, big name people. I don't know them. I don't know if they're doing this, but I would be doing that. I'd be like, let me go pop in here, see how they're doing, and promote them somehow you can, and just help out.
Hmm.
I don't know
Yeah.
what's I don't know this, but anyways, I pulled up your article because I just thought it was great. It stood the test of time, and how I randomly came across it. I go, Bob's fired up about something.
Yeah.
He was so
Yeah. I
fired
mean,
up. He wrote to that national person, it's like he.
I hadn't seen that in I don't know how many years till you sent it to me.
It's gonna live on in the history. God's gonna do something with that thing.
There you
He's
go.
gonna do something with. I'm like, there's something about this article that it's surviving the test of time. It's
Yeah.
somehow you can Google it. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's gonna do something, and
Yeah.
it's speaking to the heart of pastors.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really is. I wish more pastors saw that article and go, "Who the
Yeah.
heck is this Hellman guy?
Yeah.
And how did he do this?"
Mm.
But yeah, so Bob, about an hour in, we'll wrap it up in the next 10 minutes. But let's just talk about maybe VFR ministry itself, and really this is anyone can watch this podcast. The podcast will have different episodes, maybe bi-weekly, right? We'll see what the schedules
Sure.
allow. Every week we'll get into a different topic, and it'll deal with maybe mental health. We'll talk about the military, first responder culture, and we can dive into really what's helped me out, and then how Bob is, the importance of a pastor, and how Bob himself has overcome his own challenges. Bob is your father was in World War II, right?
No, he was in the military during the days of the Korean War.
Yep.
He was never sent there. Uh,
But Yeah, but if you're a family member like that, direct family member of a first responder or a veteran, you this is a place for that too,
oh yeah,
because yeah, exactly. So Bob is directly connected
yeah,
to this community, right? He's had a
yes,
father, and what we want to do is, especially Gold Star family members. I think Bob, I really want to interview Gold Star family members
yes,
who are going through really hard stuff in their turn to Christianity. They're
yeah,
scattered throughout America, and I want their story out there. I think
yeah,
that is a goal we have to get to, is
yes,
get those families on here at some point. But we'll talk about a different educational topic each week. But then we'll just talk. Then we'll just talk about God, and we'll let the conversation go wherever it wants, kind of like today. Uh, but the important thing is, if you are interested in the organization, you can look us up. It's www.VFR for Veterans and First Responders ministry.org. So it's www.vfrministry.org. You can find our mobile app on Apple or Android under VFR Ministry, and you'll see a little cross with the American flag behind it. Everything's totally free. You can join community groups. Right now, I do Christian coaching. I'm only able to take on a few people at a time because of my schedule. We're very small. It's just Bob, myself, a couple other people, and we are growing. But you can at least join community groups of veterans, first responders. We vet everybody who comes in, making sure you belong to, not just somebody outside of it. But you got to be 18 plus to join. We're not trying to babysit people. We really want everybody to be adults coming in here, and really just staying connected with each other throughout the country. That's the biggest thing. And Bob and I will do podcasts. Like I said, we'll try to reach people. If we can't get to you on Zoom calls or Teams calls, whatever it is, we'll try to get to you through our word on a podcast. And Bob is our chief pastor. He is the man in the ministry. He knows the Bible better than everybody. he was a little pastor, but now he's the chief pastor, and we're bringing him nationally. We're gonna bring him to the White House, and he's gonna do a speech there. He's long overdue. But I want to welcome everybody to VFR Ministry. Bob, do you have anything to say before we wrap it up?
John, just that your vision for this ministry is a wonderful one. I think I would like to point out that we showcased tonight, John, having fun. And it is, you can, we're not offering here some stiff religion that we're asking you to opt into or anything like that. This is, we're just we just talk, and we're honest, and we laugh and we talk, we cut up, and then we say serious things, of course. But I think people, John, are longing for ministry that's not going to slap them in the face with a lot of formalism, a lot of rules and regulations and stiff commandments, and demanding that they follow all the commandments. People just want life. And I think we've demonstrated that tonight, John.
Yeah, Bob, you you are right. Like, this is, come from the military culture. We're keeping the military culture,
Yeah.
right? We're not going to say trash mouth words, but if we have a veteran on here and he's using his trash mouth, we're not gonna pound you for it, right?
Sure.
When I joined the military, I was 17 years old. I was a private, went up the ranks. I was not an officer, right? E4 Mafia. We talk the way we talk, and we're gonna keep that culture. And biggest thing is, right, and then we have family members, right, of us who Bob will fall into that category. So we try not to go too hard with that culture. But, we always want to keep this fun. We want to keep it real and connected. I never want this ministry ever being that dry place where there's all these rules and commandments, and it sucks the life out of things. It really is about being yourself, having fun, as we're going through our struggles, and taking the struggles seriously, learning about them, but then just talking, then just having a good old conversation about life and about God. And I figure, Bob and I, we're hoping to bring that combo, that 1-2 punch. And, Bob's a pastor with a pistol. So he's carrying Bob, what do you got on you over there? Don't point it in the camera. What do you got?
I always have this right here. Oh no, I wouldn't pull up a gun. Although I am connected to White Earth, but we learned better at the OK Corral.
You just got a knife right there, ready to go.
I'm real religious, aren't I, John?
Not a gun, just a knife.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that. Oh, that's funny. Not a gun.
Yeah, I was like, what are you telling
It's just a knife. It ain't no gun.
Yeah. As you can tell, this ministry, the people are packing heat on this one. So,
Yeah.
anyways, but we'll get going. Thank you, everybody, for listening. This is our first podcast. Hopefully get better and better every time. We can deliver good mental health tools for you guys, good messages, and welcome to the family. Thank you.
Yeah.